Hey, thanks for joining for another episode of A Warrior Spirit, where we let the inner warrior out to light. Today, I'm with my good friend, Jackie James. She's a writer extraordinaire, and she and I have been friends for over 25 years. And she's just a dear heart and a genuine soul, and I'm just very happy that she's decided to join us here today. So, Jackie, thank you for your time, and welcome to A Warrior Spirit.
Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate you having me.
I know because we've been friends for quite a long time. I know that you grew up in San Diego. You have four siblings, but you also had some trauma during your childhood. So life wasn't all sunshine, beaches, and roses. Um, can you kind of touch on some of that to get your story started?
I think part of um, what was traumatic, I guess, is when I moved cross country from Virginia to California, and I did not exactly fit in. And I've struggled with that my entire life, always trying to fit in and not being everybody's cup of tea. You know what I'm saying?
Well, where are you in the sibling chain?
The last.
There you go.
Yeah.
And what's the distance between the oldest and you?
16 years. Yeah. 16, 14, 12, and 9.
Okay.
I
So it
was
wasn't exactly like you had all the siblings at home,
right.
right?
Not at all. It was
Yeah.
just me and my brother mainly. And
Okay.
my other siblings were already moved out and moved on. And my sister got married when I was 5. So
Wow.
yeah. So they
Well,
they were
I
gone for the most part.
I know you as very caring and giving and outgoing and fun and joyful. How does that
You're
make you
right.
not how does that make you not fit in? Like,
Well, I was kind of sheltered in a way when I was a kid, and pretty naive, believe it or not. I know that's hard for you to believe about me.
it is.
No sarcasm. But I moved from Virginia to California, and California, I was expecting it to be, like you said, sunshine and beaches and everything. Well, I wound up with this skin and this hair in the late 70s in San Diego, and I was ostracized because of the way I looked and tried to fit in, and I just it just was very difficult, and a lot of people made fun of me and things like that. Of course, there was trauma earlier in my life that was a little more scarring, if you will. But
Mhm.
you know they're just things that you take and you move with. And um I think that trying to fit in has been an issue all my life. So
So I know from your story, from your backstory, from knowing you for so long, your household was difficult for you in the fact that your family tried to please your grandmother all the time, which made you try to please your grandmother all the time, right?
yeah, I mean, I grew up in a codependent household. Um, and of course, we didn't know it was codependent. And I don't necessarily think my siblings got the codependence, but I know I did. I've been codependent all my life. Now that I look back, and I've gotten some help, and processed through some of those things. You and I have talked through a lot of that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I just I learned it, and I've always tried to be a people pleaser, and um, it's really kind of affected my life choices, and trying to make everybody else happy and not making myself happy. So
Can you share one of those stories about your grandmother that you've shared openly?
oh she just, I don't know, it was just me, but I always felt like um she didn't like me, like she, you know, just it was just kind of weird. I mean, um, my father tried to cook in the house one time and he wanted to cook onions. And my mom said, you can't cook onions because your grandmother won't like it, the smell and everything. And my dad's like, you can't even cook in your own house. You know, we just walked on eggshells a lot. Um, and I don't necessarily know that my brother had the same experience, even though he lived in the same household.
Hmm.
But I just remember my mom always, telling me, don't rock the boat with Nana. Don't, you know, don't say that, be this way, so I learned how to placate and pacify.
Yeah.
So,
And I know that that's carried over into your adulthood. How did it affect you as a teenager dating and then ultimately married and
well, I think those two things that I mentioned, the being codependent and also not fitting in, you try to find ways to make yourself, um you try to make people happy. I mean,
Mhm,
mine, I finally found a way through humor
mhm,
to make myself, likable, if you will. And when I was dating, and I mean, I would throw myself in the relationship, even if I knew it wasn't a good relationship or the right relationship.
mhm.
Um, my marriage was a perfect example of that, because my husband had alcoholic and drug tendencies, and I was always trying to clean up messes and make sure everything was okay and make sure he was happy. And I gave up a lot, to be in that relationship. And the way I look at it now is, um, I don't blame him. I look at it now and I say, oh, okay, I understand it.
Mhm.
This is what I was conditioned to do. Was, I wanted to make the perfect household, and I wanted to, um, do everything to make him happy, to make my kids happy, to make my family happy, to make everybody happy except for me.
And
So,
how many children did you have with him?
two.
2. So when you got divorced, I know that that was still pretty rocky and pretty tough.
Was
And
awful.
then was he still using the drugs and the alcohol?
Mhm.
Right?
Yes. Drove
And
drunk with my kids and got arrested and went to prison. And yeah, there were a lot of situational things that were very trying, at the time. And you know you just don't see. Sometimes I'm not very good at seeing for the forest for the trees because I'm
mhm,
too close. But after the fact, the old hindsight is 2020. I'm
yeah,
using all kinds of great metaphors. um,
rolling with it.
um, yeah, so I think that probably was, why I'm able to see it a little clearer. That, and I've gotten a lot of help. You and I have talked through a lot of things, and I've done some, intensive counseling. Um, not ashamed to say those things. I think everybody should get it. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, for everything. I don't necessarily think that you have to go through something traumatic, or you have to, be married to an alcoholic. I think it's great to have someone to talk to,
Right.
and who can objectively, like you do, lead me to, you know, huh, here it is all along, and you just didn't see it. So,
You've told me before when you confronted your ex-husband about his drugs and alcohol, his reaction wasn't what you actually expected, was it?
it wasn't. I basically sat him down and said, listen, there's an issue here, and I've tried to go about it every way I could think of. I went to Al-Anon. I went to his doctor before HIPAA laws were something.
Mhm.
I went to his family. And I basically just sat him down and I said, listen, you've got to choose. Um, and he said, you have the problem, not me. And that was basically what turned the light on for me, that he was always going to choose alcohol and drugs over us, me and my children.
Yeah, so
And
he basically gaslighted you before gaslighting was a word.
he did. Oh, he was excellent at that. Yes. So I basically went, oh, okay, well, I guess I have to make some hard choices. And it was easier because I had kids in a way,
Mm,
because I was choosing them
mm.
over choosing the bad relationship. And I knew that I needed to do better for them.
And that's absolutely the right choice. But again, it's a series of you putting everybody else first other than
Yeah.
Jackie, because Jackie would have stayed, but she has to protect her kids, so she has to get out.
Well, you know what? Jackie would have stayed, but I wouldn't have stayed for me. I would have stayed for him. I would
Uh-huh.
have stayed to try and fix him. I
Hmm.
would have stayed to, because it looked right. I would have stayed because, that's what you do.
Hmm.
And, but my kids were the catalyst. I wanted to make sure that they were okay. And I made the choice to finally leave. And I don't necessarily know that I did it soon enough, but I did it. So, and it was difficult.
And how was the relationship after you were gone with him, after you were
Um,
divorced?
it was pretty awful at first. He would drink and he would use the kids against me. He would tell them things, and he would get on the phone and be intoxicated and try and talk to them. And if I told him no, he'd say, you're trying to keep my kids from me. And we went to court every 3 months for 2 years. Um, it was just not a good situation. Um, but he would always tell me he wanted me back, that he
Mm,
wanted me to come back and, unify our family, and it's what's best for the kids. And, he
mhm.
used whatever manipulation tactics he could. But by that point, I was away from it long enough. I was away from the situation long enough that I could see, that it was it was not good. It was not gonna get any better either, because he was still, you know, having those problems, even though he said he was addressing them.
Yeah. And then I know that he has passed.
He has.
How was the relationship with his children before his passing?
Not good. He didn't have a lot of relationship with them. It was sporadic at best.
Hmm.
Um, and unfortunately they were 12 and 16
Mm,
when he died. Um, my daughter took it very hard. She was very, very emotional. I mean, she's 12. I mean,
mhm.
and I think there was a lot left unsaid there. My son just kind of put on a brave face and acted like, oh, well, that guy missed out,
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Have they
So,
recovered from that?
um, it every once in a while it comes up. Um, I think they both struggle with it in their own ways. Um, but I think that I mean they're both great kids. I mean, they're not kids anymore, they're adults, and
Yeah.
they've got their own lives, and they seem to be, forging their own paths and doing okay there. So but I know that they struggle with certain things, and I'm sure that that has a lot to do with it, their relationship with their dad, or lack of relationship.
And how did it affect you?
Oh, it was horrible. Um I once again, maybe this is just very naive, but I couldn't understand how someone who swore that he loved me up and down, um, would turn on a dime and make it about everything but taking responsibility and accountability for his own actions.
Mhm.
Um, how do you tell somebody that you love them and then try and hurt them as
Mhm.
best you possibly can, financially, emotionally, through your children? I mean, that just didn't make any sense to me. Um, Once again, I was probably naive, thinking, gee, he'll see the light when he realizes that we're all going to leave.
Yeah.
You know, no, that was my fault. I was disloyal. I was, all of those things. So, oh well.
So what have you used to overcome that and move forward in your own life? Because you're still a very jovial, loving, caring person. And even in your writing, because I know you've done blogging and copywriting and jingles and all sorts of writing stuff. It's been your passion, but you tend to write about helping others, especially teens, and so how has that been a benefit to your life, and how have you used it to kind of overcome your own traumas?
Well, I think that humor is one of the biggest things that anybody can rely on. It has been for me. Um, I've tried to find humor in all of the bad situations, um, and I relied very much on self-deprecating humor, which I don't know may or may not have been a good thing. Um, but and I think that comes across in my writing, when I'm left to my own devices and I can write about what I want to write about, and I try to inject some sort of humor into it,
Mhm.
because I think that that is universal. Um, Now, does everybody get my joke? Maybe not, but um, yeah. So that's one of the ways. I've had the good fortune of um, aligning myself with some people who have done some really great work, and who are doing really great things. And one of them is writing for the website that I told you about, the teen website,
Mhm.
and addressing things like, how to come out to your parents, and how to prepare for job interviews, and what it's like being um, Gen Z, all of those things. So I've had the opportunity to write a lot of things like that. And I like the fact that they're helpful, that hopefully teens in general, are able to take something away from it. Um, but yeah, it's been great for me because, like you said, writing is my passion,
Mhm.
and I'm really kind of taking a cue from you and making 2023 very intentional,
Mhm.
and trying to uh, explore that passion a little bit more so that I can not only help people but um, help myself, through writing. And
I know on a kind of a sidebar side note, what's the weirdest thing you've had to write for, and what's the weirdest jingle you've had to copyright for?
well, currently I'm writing about sex toys,
Oh,
so that's probably the most unique client that I've had.
and is
um
that a blog? Is that a pamphlet? I
no,
mean,
it's
website? What are you having to
it's
write?
not for Planned Parenthood. It's just for a company that wants some information for each one of their landing pages.
Oh, okay.
So, and they have many, many, many landing pages. So
Sure.
I'm just writing basic information. And you know me, I'm throwing stuff in there that, double entendre, sure. Little bang for your buck, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, uh, So that's probably the most unusual that I've written as of late. But I've run the gamut. I mean,
I know you had to write a 7 or 8 page pamphlet for mold.
yes, yes. I worked for a company that does like mold testing and mold inspection, and so I had to look at it from every single angle and write that, doing SEO stuff,
Yeah.
so that search engine optimization. Yes, so I've been doing a lot of that. I mean, I've written for newspapers, interviews. I've yeah, a little bit of everything, magazines and um, blog stuff. I've written about my kids. I used to blog about my kids, um, and growing up in the household here with all of them, how my children wouldn't use the high school bathroom. Just random stuff,
Yeah. Everyday life. But see,
everyday life.
that's what helps keep you creative, and that's what helps make you relatable, because whether it be mold or sex toys or using the high school bathroom, you have to be relative, and you have to dive into the minds of the people that are going to be reading your copy so that you can immerse yourself in an engaging way. So
Right.
I think some of your past trauma and having to go inward to protect yourself, to battle that, would help bring out some of that creativity and that imagination, because you're already feeling isolated. So you're finding ways to amuse yourself and to find joy in your life, right? So do you find that some of that past experience has helped in your creative writing?
I think so. I think that everybody who uses something creative has to delve into themselves, to make whatever art they make,
Mhm.
um, and so I think so. I think that mine has manifested itself, like I said, through a humorous bent, because I think if I didn't have humor in the situations, that I would have gone crazy, or I would have, you know, um, crawled into a bottle myself,
Right.
or something along those lines. But having really, really strong support system, um, my friends, my family, my siblings are just amazing people. And I've been super, super blessed to be able to rely on them. And, um, you know, um, I think that that's been super important for me.
Well, I know we've done some work, and we've
Hmm.
gone through your friends list, and we've
Hmm.
listed out some of the amazing
Amazing.
accomplishments and things that they've done. So people like that don't hang around with other people who don't bring quality to the circle. So from that, you should have developed some better self-worth based on your circle of friends, because they're not slouches who are just slumming.
Just
They're,
gonna say they're not slouches. You're
yeah,
reading
no,
my mind now, Daryl. Come on.
25 years of knowing you. So,
I know, right?
um, but that should give you some,
It does, because that is something that I wanted to talk to you about. I have been doing a lot of self-reflection and getting a lot of, feedback and such, from you, from others, um, from a counselor, um, and been addressing the codependency that has run rampant in my life, um, and the self-esteem issues that come along with that. Um, and I'm getting to a point now at 56 that, um, I know I'm a work in progress. I know that it doesn't stop here, but you had mentioned once that, you were always looking for the shortcut.
mhm,
And I've always been looking for the shortcut. And I really have to do the work,
mhm,
really have to do it. And I think I have been this past year. I think that I am learning that you're right, that those people wouldn't find value in me
Mhm.
unless there was value in me. And that I am very capable, that I don't need to question my judgment. Um, I can handle things. And there's been a lot of times in my life where I thought, oh, I can't do this. I don't know how to, or I don't, I mean, just getting on the damn computer with you today, but I did it, right? I
Right.
mean, and I didn't call anybody else, and I didn't freak out, and I didn't, yeah, I'm capable. I can do it. It's not rocket science. And even rocket science, I could figure out, damn it, if I had enough,
Yeah.
time with the math book.
Of just application. As you've progressed and having known you for 25 years, I do see a tremendous amount of growth in this past year, not only because you're doing the therapy, but because you're starting to implement some of the things that you and I have worked together on.
Right.
And that's the thing about working with people, is that they have to actually do the work, because whoever, whether it be your counselor, your coach, me, or whomever, your friends, whatever, they can tell you and they can guide you, but you have to do it in order to edify you. And you're starting to edify you. And I see that, tremendous growth in that trajectory that you're on. If you were to speak to somebody who's trying to fit in, not wanting to be codependent, going through the crap you went through,
Mhm.
what would be your advice to that person? And what would be your lifeline to them?
Well, I would say, first of all, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I tried to be what everybody wanted me to be, whether it was, the little wifey in the apron, or the cool girl, or whatever. Um, you're not going to please everyone. And if somebody comes along and they don't like you because, you look a certain way, or you're boisterous, or you're not couth, or you're whatever,
Mhm.
then they're not they're not your person. That's okay. Um, you know, uh, Not being everyone's cup of tea, as much as I want to be oolong, I am Irish breakfast. There's just, that's all there is to it.
That's
I'm
good.
always going to be Irish breakfast, and I'm okay with Irish breakfast,
Yeah.
you know, and that's okay. So I would tell somebody, just be confident in who you are, because you have gifts, and not everybody's going to appreciate them, and that's okay. Also, I would say give yourself grace. And
Mm.
that's really what I have been focused on the past couple of months, is giving myself grace for choices that I've made in my life that I used to beat myself up over
Mhm.
all the time.
Mhm.
Um, not thinking that I was smart enough, or this enough, or that enough. I've given myself grace. I understand, we're not always going to make the right choice. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be able to, I'm not going to be able to get everything done. I'm not going to be able to satisfy everybody. That's okay. As long as I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I think it's
And
easier to live a joy-filled life if you're living authentically to yourself, instead of trying to be the people pleaser to everybody around you, because then eventually you don't even know who the hell you are.
that's absolutely who I've been. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Runaway Bride,
Yes.
but okay, you know how she doesn't like her eggs.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how she likes her eggs. That's me.
Yeah.
Somebody says, "Hey, where do you want to go to dinner?" I don't know. Wherever you want to go, you know. And I've never seen the movie, but Kim has told me about the movie, and she's like, "Oh my God, that's you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Not anymore. Not anymore. I'm finding my voice, even though it's taken a mucho long time. That's
Yeah.
okay. I would also tell somebody else um, to have gratitude,
Mm.
because everything
Mm.
that you do is a learning process. You've
Mhm.
got to have the bad to appreciate the good. And that there's something to be thankful for in everything, in every day.
That's
So
huge.
gratitude is it's changed my perspective. My perspective was always, oh, poor me, and oh my God, why did this happen? And why did I make that dumb decision? And waking up feeling like shit, waking
Mhm.
up every day going, I'm just not capable. I'm not this, I'm not that. You know what? I don't feel that way anymore. I'm grateful that um, I have air in my lungs and that I can write and that I do have a wonderful support system. And yeah, so
That's beautiful. So I'm going to ask you the same last question that I ask all my guests.
yeah.
Because you're in my tribe and a part of a warrior spirit, what does a warrior spirit mean to Jackie?
Somebody who is persistent in helping others, um, regardless of the cost. Um, and that can be in any way possible. Um, I've been thinking about starting a I don't know if it's a Facebook page or so, I don't even know, something where I could post random acts of kindness for people to do every day. Just
Mhm.
very, very simple things. And the reason behind that would be it would give me joy. I think it would give the person who is able to, do it or read it or whatever, it would
Mhm.
bring them joy, and it would bring joy to the person that they're helping. And that's just a win-win-win all the way around.
Yeah,
Um, so
it's it. I think that's a beautiful thing because some people think of warriors as always having to be fighting, but they're not. They're actually knowing how to be calm and strong and resilient at the same time, right? And helping others, I think, is a huge part of it. You know, it's like you and I are sports people, right? And the other night, a gentleman got severely injured, almost lost his life playing football.
right.
And within 12 minutes after they had announced that he was a part of this charity drive, his charity raised over $3 million
No,
because the human spirit of kindness and giving poured out. And it's
exactly.
those moments where you see that everything isn't the shit that the media tells you is, and it's not as bad as, every person's not as bad as we've been made them out to be. It's those moments of human kindness that just reinforce your faith in humanity and make you do what you do. So if you put together a page or a place or a thing, blog, whatever, where people could come and see and then pay it forward, if you will,
Right.
I think it not only changes those around you, but it changes us who are doing it because it shows there's more to this than us,
The
and
whole
there's more to
ripple
be
effect.
grateful for. Was that?
Yeah. The whole ripple effect. Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about
Yeah.
that all the time, the ripple
Yeah.
effect,
And then,
right?
I mean, it just makes you feel grateful, and it makes you feel better. And I'm sorry my phone keeps dinging. Um, I'm so popular. I don't know. Um, yeah, but I mean, I just think that that would be a warrior spirit, is somebody who is just dedicated to helping others because it's the right thing to do. I mean,
Mhm.
and it just makes everybody feel better. So
I think you've encapsulated it really well. And Jackie, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and continued success in 2023. Live your life with full intention, and I look forward to seeing where it takes you. All righty. Good night.